today.
I'm Chan Hennings, defensive tackle, three-time Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys.
Plus, the true story of the daughter from the hit film, Not Without My Daughter. And then,
it's mass chaos.
Go through the anti-terrorism training used by the cops.
It feels real. It really does.
And see how they'll protect you during an attack on today's 700 Club.
Welcome to the 700 Club. Hey, how about this one in the news? Hey, by the way, there was somebody, oh, well, this is important, though. You know, Pakistan has got some really serious nuclear weapons, you know, and A.K. Khan was a Pakistani. So the Pakistanis have said, quote, "We will wipe Iran off the map." That's the threat from the chief of the army of Pakistan. He says that if Iran threatens the territory of Saudi Arabia, his country will strike back. See, they cozied up to Faisal when he was the king of Saudi Arabia, and they named their capital Faisalabad. They've changed it back to Islamabad, but it was Faisalabad for a while. So isn't that, we'll wipe Iran off the map.
Quite a threat. It's the latest sign that the tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia are spreading throughout the Middle East. Chris Mitchell brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Thousands of Iranians demonstrated against Saudi Arabia for executing a top Shiite cleric. They carried pictures of the executed Sheikh Namir, and many shouted, "Death to the House of Saud."
Saudi Arabia has collapsed and has been isolated. It has shown its true nature and has joined the club of wickedness and brutality. It has proved its anti-human nature to the world. Those countries who cooperate with Saudi Arabia will be humiliated, and human society has no respect for them.
Meanwhile, in Pakistan, a Sunni nation, the chief of the army announced that any threat to the territorial integrity of Saudi Arabia by Iran would provoke a sharp response from Pakistan. He said they would, quote, "wipe Iran off the map." In Cairo, the Arab League held an emergency meeting of foreign ministers. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister said Iran's attack on the Saudi embassy in Tehran after the execution of Sheikh Namir was the latest incident in decades of aggression. After the attack, Saudi Arabia cut diplomatic ties with Iran. He warned Iran risked being rejected by all the Arab countries of the region.
If Iran wants to have a positive role in the region, they have to deal with their neighbors. Like it happens everywhere in the world, they should have good relations and not interfere with others' issues, rejecting terror and not supporting it. If Iran would do so, it would be possible to live peacefully in the region as neighbors, but if they continue to support sectarian aggression, terror, and violence, they will face the rejection of the Arab countries.
Many experts don't expect a direct conflict between the two Middle East superpowers, but it's likely the proxy wars they're fighting in Yemen, Syria, and Iraq will intensify. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Boy, you see those flames? It's going to happen, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, that those oil fields will be in flames. But again, Pakistan is loaded with nukes. They've had nuclear weapons for some time. They have a substantial arsenal of weapons. And it's amazing that they would come in this strong, this fast in support of Saudi Arabia. But they want the Saudi money. They're hurting. And the president of Pakistan told me when I was with him some years ago that they were spending about $3 billion a year because of the dispute in Kashmir. And therefore, they need the money from Saudi, and they don't want to offend them. So they're saying, hey, buddies, we're with you on this. Whew, man, it's a cauldron that's bubbling. Well, here at home, another potential threat against police officers after a man attacked an officer in Philadelphia in the name of Islam. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN Newsroom.
Pat, police in Philadelphia are investigating a tip that a man who attacked a police officer is connected to a radical group. Last week, Edward Archer approached a police car firing at least 13 shots and wounding the officer. Archer was captured by other officers about a block away. The Philadelphia Police Department says it received a tip that Archer had an affiliation to a group with radical beliefs. Investigators say Archer told them he was following Allah and pledged allegiance to ISIS. And he believed the police department defends laws that are contrary to Islam. A New Year's Eve attack on scores of women in Germany has one city in that country on edge. Over the weekend, thousands took to the streets of Cologne to protest a string of vicious sexual attacks by men who were reportedly of Arab and North African descent. Those attacks come as German leaders face mounting pressure to deal with the influx of migrants from the Middle East. George Thomas has the details.
Tensions are rising in Germany's fourth largest city. Protesters took to the streets of Cologne over the weekend, furious about a string of shocking sexual assaults.
I am here today because we're all very sad about the things that happened here.
The attacks happened during New Year's celebrations in Cologne's main square, when hundreds of young men, reportedly of Arab and North African origin, attacked scores of women. More than 500 women have filed criminal complaints, 40% of them saying they were groped and molested by men. Cologne has been on edge since last Friday, when reports surfaced that refugees who recently arrived in the country were among the suspected attackers. Scores of women stood in front of this cathedral protesting sexual violence.
It is about making clear that we will not stop moving around freely and to protest against victim bashing and women being abused.
Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel is facing tremendous pressure after allowing more than 1 million refugees into the country in 2015. Over the weekend, some 2,000 anti-Muslim protesters also took to the streets, demanding that Germany closes its borders to refugees.
I am shaken by the events of New Year's Eve, but it is not only about that incident. What is happening at the moment in Germany is concerning. I am worried. I do not have the feeling that this is still my country.
A counter-demonstration defending refugees took place simultaneously in another part of the city.
We're upset and angry as women of the sexual violence that happened here in Cologne on New Year's Eve. But we're even more upset and angry that there are racists that are using this for their racist propaganda, because sexual violence is a global issue.
Chancellor Merkel's popularity has dropped since refusing to limit the number of refugees coming into Germany. Almost 3/4 of those polled in a recent survey say migration was the most important issue for the government to deal with this year. Merkel announced a plan Saturday making it easier to deport refugees who commit crimes, following the sexual assault attacks almost 2 weeks ago. George Thomas, CBN News.
Attacks are unbelievable, Pat.
Thanks. Good report, George. We frankly have heard that it's going to be about 10 million refugees that will be crowding into Europe someplace, and there's no room. So they're setting up barbed wire. They're setting up razor wire. They're doing everything to keep these people out. And what is it? Well, that's what happens when a great country like the United States doesn't do anything to exercise leadership. Now, I have been concerned for a long time about the threat that is posed to this planet by asteroids. The space outside of this planet is filled with all these little rocks. I mean, it's just loaded with them. And, you know, so far, occasionally they hit us, but they don't do any permanent damage. The extinction of the dinosaurs came about probably because of an asteroid strike. Now, the joke is that the United States is going to put our biggest weapon against asteroids. They're going to mobilize the bureaucracy. Ephraim.
Pat, NASA has established a new office to coordinate its efforts to protect Earth from deadly asteroids. The space agency announced a Planetary Defense Coordination Office. It will list and classify any space rocks that could hit the Earth and issue alerts of any potential impacts. It will also work with other government agencies like the Defense Department and FEMA to plan responses if it looks like an asteroid or comet is going to strike. Pat?
I was in New Orleans after Katrina, and if FEMA does as much of that asteroid, the Earth is doomed.
Well, it's really only an alert anyway, right?
Yeah,
that they're talking about. I mean, you wrote a book a number of years ago.
The end of the age, and I think if there was anything that fulfills the prophecies that were given by Jesus Christ, it is a strike to this earth by an asteroid. My asteroid that I had in my fictional book was 0.6 of a mile, which of course a kilometer is 0.6 of a mile. This baby weighed about 3 billion pounds. And I had it hurtling into Earth, and when it struck, it doesn't have to be, it's just a little one. I mean, 0.6 of a mile. That's tiny. But that was all it took to disrupt the Earth.
We don't really understand all of the ramifications of what happens when something strikes with
comes in
intensity.
at 250,000 feet a second or whatever. It comes barreling in, it catches fire, and then it hits, and there's a huge plume that comes up which obscure the sun for 2 or 3 years. And then on top of that, the Earth's mantle is disrupted, so you begin to have all kinds of earthquakes and volcanoes all over the Earth. And so that's all it would take. You know, when Jesus talks about the sun won't shine, the moon won't give its life, etc. Well, that's what would happen. It fulfills almost to the letter what the Lord told us about in prophecy.
Well, I was just going to say that, so when they say they're going to give warning and people could prepare, you really can't prepare for something of that magnitude.
By the time you see it, it's too late.
Too late.
They come hurtling down to Earth, 25,000 miles an hour, I think it is. It comes roaring in, and the concussive force is huge. That one that hit in Tunguska up in the Siberian area just leveled up miles and square miles, hundreds of them, leveled. Every tree, just one small thing, and the explosive force. It's frightening to think about it, but it would be nice if we had some mechanism to shoot those things down. Ephraim?
Pat, Haiti is a country hungry for food. Poverty, natural disasters, and a corrupt government have all contributed to a food security crisis. The island nation needs jobs and sustainable food sources. As Caitlin Burke shows us, Operation Blessing is responding to those needs through aquaculture.
Tackling hunger in Haiti is a full-time business for CBN's Operation Blessing.
When I first went to Haiti in 2009, and saw how hungry the people were, but at the same time, how much water they had and how much sunshine they had, I thought, boy, what a place for aquaculture. This is a perfect scenario for someone to be in the fish farming business.
Here at the Operation Blessing Fish Hatchery, they breed tilapia to help provide protein for the Haitian diet, restock empty lakes, and improve the Haitian economy.
Tilapia, it's great for Haiti because it grows. It's one of the easiest fish to grow. It grows fast. It has a lot of meat, which is what you want.
There's a huge market for fish here because many of the lakes and reservoirs are empty.
Generations of hungry people. They scour the ponds and the lakes and the rivers and even harvest tiny fish just for subsistence for their families.
Operation Blessing produces more than 1 million baby fish or fingerlings a month. They're then sold to fish farms across Haiti or put into its lakes and reservoirs. The Taino Aqua Farm, OB's largest customer, buys up to 70,000 fingerlings a month to grow and sell to the Haitian people.
First year, we're looking at producing about 500 tons, which is about 1 million pounds. We'll be the largest aquaculture operation in the country, and we hope to grow from there.
Part of building a fish farm means finding a place to grow the fish. TAF puts the fingerlings in this lake using massive cages.
There are 6 cages like this one out on the lake, but that number is expected to double. Each cage can hold 200,000 fish.
Our fish are actually growing ahead of schedule. They're about 35% ahead of what we anticipated, which is all great news. They're more efficient than we thought they were going to be in terms of converting food to mass, and they seem to be swimming and very happy.
While selling fingerlings is a major part of the fish hatchery's work, Operation Blessing also donates full-grown fish for meals at schools, orphanages, and hospitals.
the human body requires protein. In Haiti, it's a steady diet for the poor of beans and rice, and they don't always have enough beans and rice.
The fish hatchery helps provide a sustainable food source and also much-needed jobs. That's the real solution to poverty and the ultimate goal of Operation Blessing in Haiti.
Everyone's heard the old saying about teaching a man to fish. Well, I believe in that principle, but we want to teach a country how to fish.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Nice, Caitlin. I've seen them at work in Haiti, and Operation Blessing is doing amazing things. Pat?
Yeah, Bill Horan was from the Cayman Islands. He's an honorary citizen of the Caymans. He was called Wahoo Willie because of his fishing.
Can we use that?
Yeah, he loves to fish. And so when he got to Haiti, he was, you know, right in his element. And but £1 million a month and something. I mean, you can feed the whole country high quality protein with those tilapia. And it's marvelous. That's one of the things Operation Blessing is doing, ladies and gentlemen, to overcome the curse of poverty. Terry?
Well, up next, counterterrorism training for law enforcement officers that's all too real.
When you have a guy that is actively trying to hurt you, and it's not for play, I mean, it's real life, you put a lot more into it, you take your time, your breathing goes up, I mean, everything, it feels real. It really does.
See why police are lining up for this training, often on their own time and with their own dime, after this.
We're not gathered here united tonight because of the name of our teams or of our schools, but because of the name above all names. Jesus.
Woodlawn, rated PG. Available on Blu-ray Combo Pack and DVD January 19th.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Tomorrow, the president is missing and ISIS is at large. Joel Rosenberg takes us through the chilling pages of his new novel, The First Hostage. Plus, the outlaw who made his own rules.
We had our own standards, and we took care of one another.
And lived by a simple motto.
Live fast, die young, leave a good-looking corpse.
Watch what happens when this biker gets busted.
It was on
the next 700 Club.
Welcome back to the 700 Club. Glad to have you with us. Americans today know that a terrorist attack can happen anytime, anywhere. So local police departments are getting ready in case terrorists strike in their area. Our Chuck Holston visited one training program in Arkansas where police officers are being prepared for the very worst.
In the wake of continuing terror attacks around the world, it's clear international terrorists are evolving to use ever more spectacular and brutal tactics. Coordinated attacks on multiple locations can quickly bring entire cities to a standstill and represent a nightmare scenario for any law enforcement agency. Just outside Little Rock, Arkansas, law enforcement professionals from across the country come to this 700-acre facility to find better ways to respond to such attacks. The Direct Action Resource Center, known as DARCY, has been developing counterterrorism techniques for 2 decades and offers a special course several times each year for law enforcement. Former Green Beret Rich Mason is the founder.
DARCY was started in 1996,
as a way for special operation type forces, law enforcement and military, to get it kind of off campus, away from the flagpole, and to really focus cost-effective training. Darcy focuses mostly on things like urban warfare, counterterrorism, things along those lines. We have ranges for everything from sniper to pistol. We do concealed carry, low visibility operations, explosive breaching, things like that.
The law enforcement counterterrorism course brings in cops from all different agencies and throws them together in a chaotic, hyper-realistic scenario from day one.
This course is designed to defeat a multi-cell attack, similar to Paris, but actually worse in scale.
One of the things that makes Darcy training so effective is that they have the cops bring their same equipment that they would take on their real calls. So the SWAT guys bring their same body armor, the same helmets, gas masks, and even weapons. And there's one important difference, though, and that's this little blue bolt that goes in their weapon while they're here. This is modified to only fire plastic bullets. The reason why that's important is because the OPFOR, or opposing forces here, are all live guys, and they're shooting back at you with these same plastic bullets. Now, this isn't paintball. These things really hurt, and the point is, when you get hit, you know it. That makes the training painful, but very realistic.
Yeah, this training is very important because it puts everything in a context for law enforcement. The aggressive nature of something like a lone wolf attack with multiple guys, a multi-cell attack, is different than day-to-day, I guess what they call routine law enforcement operations, even for tactical units.
It's mass chaos initially because you're going to get reports coming from a bunch of different directions about a bunch of different issues occurring.
Mike Cowan is a Memphis cop who has been to Darcy several times.
There are not enough tactical guys on one team to respond to a major event like what we saw in Paris. So we would have to integrate together. And so having the opportunity to train and learn these tactics and then be able to teach these tactics so that we can all be on the same sheet is why we're here.
This is training you can't get anywhere else.
Lieutenant Chris Amling is a sheriff's deputy in Pulaski County, Arkansas.
When you have a guy that is actively trying to hurt you, and it's not for play, I mean, it's real life, you put a lot more into it, you take your time, your breathing goes up, I mean, everything, it feels real. It really does.
The scenarios keep changing and getting more chaotic throughout the course, and that's done on purpose to keep these guys guessing and make the value of the training even higher.
You have everything from suicide vests to being shot at, it's kind of a full spectrum of violence we're able to simulate for the law enforcement entities that come out here.
And cops are lining up for the training, many taking vacation time and spending their own money to be here because they understand what's at stake.
I mean, it happens here in the States, and we have to prepare for that and be ready for it, whether it's ISIS or whether it's homegrown terrorism. We've got to get this training, we've got to put it on our guys, and we've got to make this real-world experience happen right now.
With the next attack likely a matter of when, not if, these men are spending lots of late nights at Darcy, making sure they'll be ready.
Knowledge is power, absolutely. The more you know, the more you've experienced, it definitely gives you an edge.
From Little Rock, Arkansas, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Oh, that makes me feel a little better to see those guys working at that. Good for them. Chuck, thanks. Chuck is one of the boys. He gets right down there with them and down and dirty.
Yes.
There's a big football game, the National Championship of College Football. Do you pay any attention to anything besides Green Bay?
Well, I don't, but my household does.
So does your household have a choice?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I've been gone for a few days, so I'm not even sure what's happened lately. But
Well, did Green Bay win Sunday?
Green Bay did. I got back in time for that game, can I just say?
Well, that was a close one. It was amazing.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That sure
Just
was.
awesome. Yeah, I was happy to see
that
move
one
forward.
with Seattle, man, with all that freezing cold weather. If the guy misses a field goal at the last 20 or 30 seconds, what
Heartbreak.
Well, I'd hate to be him the rest of the year. Good grief.
Even just the next team meeting.
I mean, it's a chip shot, and he pulls it off to the left. I mean, it was really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, but, football.
So who are you hoping will win the college?
I really don't know. I tell you what, Alabama's got going for it. They've got a coach who's been there, done that, and won the national championship 4 or 5 times, or 3 or 4 times. And so Dabo Swinney's got his, but I kind of like their style, the way they play. It's fast moving and it's just crazy, some of the stuff they do. So who knows? But I think it'll be a real good football game. And, you know, it's a shame the season's over. You're kind of bored now. There's nothing else to look at. But anyhow.
Basketball goes on ad infinitum.
Well, there's just too much basketball. Too much basketball. You know, after Michael Jordan and the Bulls quit playing with as a team, I kind of lost interest in pro basketball. I used to really enjoy watching him. He was so good.
Yeah, well, there are many out there.
Oh, they're just too many.
Yeah,
too many. Okay, what's next?
Well, coming up, a look back at a 3-time Super Bowl champion whose first job was in the Air Force.
I teased my teammates I had a real job before I came. You know, I was flying missions in Iraq and flying jets just a few months prior to coming to join the Cowboys.
Chan Hennings reflects on both his storied careers when we come back.
Hi, I'm Julie Moran. You may know me as a TV host, but I also speak frequently about the risk of stroke and heart disease. Today, I'd like to talk about something proactive that you can do and discuss with your doctor: getting a Lifeline screening. Doing more for your cardiovascular health is really smart. Adding Lifeline screenings beyond regular checkups provides a more thorough look at your health. That's why 9 out of 10 cardiovascular doctors support preventative screenings among patients with key risk factors. Here's why they might be right for you. Every appointment starts with a review of your health background. In fact, 70% of adults may have 2 or more risk factors by age 55. Lifeline screenings use the same advanced technologies found in leading hospitals.
A package of 5 screenings starts at $149. Call toll-free 1-800-324-9740.
Don't wait. If you're age 50 or older, call today to discuss the benefits of a Lifeline screening.
This is mowing the lawn. Better Fi. This is doing the laundry. Better Fi. And this is home phone service Better Fi with Vonage, the home phone that also works on your mobile phone. Switch today for only $9.99 a month for a full year. Not only will you get unlimited calling across the U.S., Canada, and now Mexico, but with our free mobile app, you're always connected to your home phone, so you never miss important calls. Plus, you can easily block the calls you don't want forever with a simple swipe of a finger. Call or go online today and get a 60% discount for a full year for just $9.99 a month. Plus, you'll get everything you need to get started free. Don't settle for less than Better Fi. Better Fi your home phone with Vonage.
Visit Vonage.com or call 1-800-560-8551.
Well, there was a time in America when one team of football stood out. They were America's team. And I, like many of the other fans, knew the names of the players, had been with the players, had seen what they did, knew the name of the lineman. You had colorful people like, quote, Too Tall Jones and guys like that. And they Drew Pearson, man, they could really play football. Well, it's been a tough year for America's team. They've had 4 wins and 12 losses. The Dallas Cowboys had their worst season in 25 years. As I said earlier, the 1990s were the team's glory days when they won 3 Super Bowl championships in 4 years. Chan Hennings is a part of that storied legacy. And he talked with Tom Buring about the Cowboys' extraordinary run in those days.
I'm Chan Hennings, defensive tackle, 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys.
Chan Hennings is a navigator, finding his way into the Cowboys' historic Super Bowl run after winning an NFL franchise first 3 championships in 4 years.
To do what we were able to do and accomplish what we were able to accomplish, they were the legacy team of the 90s.
The 3 Super Bowl wins marked his first 4 NFL seasons. Chad's timing became legendary, much like his prior career as an Air Force fighter pilot.
I teased my teammates I had a real job before I came. I was flying missions in Iraq and flying jets just a few months prior to coming to join the Cowboys.
Chad postponed his NFL entry to fulfill a 4-year commitment to the Air Force. He flew 45 missions in northern Iraq, bringing humanitarian aid to refugees.
Seeing the carnage of combat, what war can do, of displaced people, hate, that there is evil in the world, it gives you a different perspective.
A perspective from the cockpit of an A-10 Thunderbolt, where Chad was awarded 2 aerial achievement medals for his actions in the service. The pilot seat forged his thinking.
How to think strategically, tactically, supporting your wingman supporting you, the sense of accomplishing a mission. That's the greatest thing that I think of climbing in that jet that I experienced.
After Chad's military discharge, he found Cowboys head coach Jimmy Johnson applied a similar approach.
Your focus, your goal, your mission is just to win the next one. Coach Johnson prepared us in the way that this is what was expected. Act like you've been there before, and those Super Bowls was just another game.
Chad's 1992 rookie season took off, capped with a blowout Super Bowl win over the Buffalo Bills.
What do you remember most about that?
The special one about the first one is that it was the first one. The halftime show, a lot of the guys wanted to run back to the locker room just to get a glimpse of Michael Jackson, before he went out to do his thing.
The following season brought a Super Bowl rematch of the same 2 teams, but this time the Cowboys trailed the Bills going into the 3rd quarter.
That was a year, we hadn't been down very often, but it was an opportunity for, to really see what our character was like to become that second-time Super Bowl champion.
The 3rd Super Bowl win came after a coaching change and an NFC Championship loss in the previous season.
Is there something to prove?
Well, there was something to prove, and I think that was the best team of all the 3. We were able to dominate, from a defensive standpoint. We really rallied together as a team.
What was the key for the Cowboys to sustain that run?
The selflessness of the individuals. There really wasn't individual agendas. Everybody knew their role. They prepared, worked extremely hard for a common goal. That was to win football games and ultimately win the Super Bowl.
Is there a quality in that translates to life?
As Christians, we're all called to be servant leaders, to model the life of Christ, and to give of yourself, to not make it about you, to make it about, first and foremost, Him as our Lord and Savior, but also to give, to help others. And that was just evidence that good things do happen when you put another person first.
As a businessman, speaker, and author, Chad points others to the importance of character.
I think people are craving authenticity. They're desiring a transformation. They want people to be real.
How does that stack up to things that are eternal?
I've been able to achieve a lot of things, but that has never brought me happiness, contentment, fulfillment. All this other stuff is periphery. You can never reach that unless you find the peace and the happiness and the serenity that you can find with a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's true fulfillment.
True fulfillment in Jesus Christ. I remember, if I could reminisce, I was the guest of Clint Markison, who owned the Cowboys at the time, owned the stadium, and he said, "You want to go back to the dressing room, the locker room, and meet the players?" I said, "Sure." So away I went. I never saw so much muscles in all of my born days. They were enormous, and they were good guys, and they were champions, and they kept winning, but it was a thrilling time in football history. But for Chan Hennings to say, look, this is what really matters. This is what really matters. Not winning 3 Super Bowl rings, not winning a football game, not flying a jet in the mountains over there in Afghanistan or wherever he was. But what's important is knowing Jesus. You see, Jesus is God. He's God. And He says, I'm going to come back again with the glory of the Father and the holy angels. And I'm going to gather together all my people. And I won't go into all the prophetic word, but nevertheless, He's coming back again. And He's powerful. And I know those big players, man, there's some tremendous football players in that Dallas squad, but nothing like Jesus. And no amount of muscle and brawn can match the power of the Lord Jesus Christ. He has it all because he's God. And if you don't know him, please know that some really tough guys say, he is my Savior. I remember the coach of the Cowboys in those days was a dedicated Christian. And I think of Joe Gibbs when he was coaching the Washington Redskins, dedicated Christian. Many people know the Lord, love the Lord, and are in that great, big, brutal game. But they're big, and they're tough, and they're brave. But more than anything, they're humble servants of the Lord Jesus Christ. Terry?
Well, still ahead, it's been 20 years since the movie Not Without My Daughter was released. And now the real daughter shares her true story of abuse and escape from Iran. Mahtob Mahmoody joins us live. That's coming up.
It's a place where everyone wants to go.
It was as if I was looking at a million shimmering diamonds.
I was planning on staying.
A place filled with happiness and free of fear.
There was no pain, no regret, only anticipation.
Everything is right. There's nothing wrong here.
I didn't see a face. I didn't see any features other than this beautiful light.
It can't be explained in human terms.
How do you get there?
I left my body. I know I did.
And I was very aware of the fact that I had just died.
And who gets to go?
I just recognize the fact that God is with me.
I was thrust through this white portal, and instantly I was standing in the presence of Almighty God.
Heaven. See real-life stories of people who have been there in this new teaching from Pat Robertson, coming January 18th.
My cancer started as ovarian cancer, and it kept coming back in different places. We went from everything being fine to everything not being fine. Being a Christian, there's heaven, but I'm doing this for my children because I want to be around to watch them grow up. I really needed someone who could think outside the box.
We did the genomic testing pretty early in Christine's course. What we're trying to do is find the mutation that the cancer has that we can then exploit.
If you or someone you love is fighting cancer, go to cancercenter.com/faith. Medicine and technology.
With our treatments, we've had a great success for her. She's back to living a normal life with her family.
The warm embrace of the Spirit.
I had spiritual support, a pastor on call. There's an atmosphere of hope. I want to be around to be a grandma. That's my goal.
Call or go to cancercenter.com/faith. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits. Appointments available now.
And welcome back to the 700 Club. An Indiana State police officer did something unusual last week. Instead of giving a semi-driver a ticket, he prayed for him. Police Sergeant Toddy Durnhill said that when he pulled Rodney Gibson over, he appeared to be very upset and angry. Turns out Gibson had just found out that his daughter, who's battling breast cancer, could only have months to live. He didn't even realize he was speeding.
If there was anything else I could do for him before I left, and he said, do you know how to pray? And putting those two things together, I almost fell out of the side of the truck there, because I thought, here I was thinking about this man needs prayer, and then he's asking for prayer. He had no idea what I was thinking about. And I took my hat off and knelt there on the side of the truck and took his hand and said a prayer for him and his family, that he would have the Lord's peace through this difficult time.
Durnhill said he hopes others who hear about this story also pray for Gibson and his family. CBN recently held a conference for more than 100 Superbook Kids Club leaders in Ukraine. Club leaders minister to children through Superbook in Sunday school and orphanages throughout the country. Superbook clubs use lessons that involve detailed crafts and fun games to help children remember biblical stories and Bible verses. Club leaders were honored with special certificates recognizing their dedication and hard work. More than 13,000 children have participated in Superbook clubs throughout the former Soviet Union. And you can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by logging on to cbn.com/international. Pat and Terry will be right back after this.
Introducing the all-new Turbo 10 from Nutrisystem. Lose up to 10 pounds plus 5 inches your first month, guaranteed. Your 10 can turn into 20, 30, 50, even more. I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds on Nutrisystem. You'll see results right away. Count, measure, meetings, not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day plan right now. With Turbo 10, you'll get delicious meals and 1 week of our all-new Turbo Shakes free, packed with protein and probiotics to help support digestive health and bust belly bloat. Plus 1 week of our NutriCrush Shakes to crush hunger free.
Bye-bye, stubborn belly fat.
Call now and we'll rush you Turbo 10 today with 14 shakes free. Lose up to 10 pounds in your first month and 5 inches overall. You'll love it. Money back guaranteed.
Your first 10 pounds, gone.
Call 888-634-DIET right now and get the all-new Turbo 10 with 14 shakes free.
To see this week's top on-demand videos, go to cbn.com.
The harrowing escape from Iran of an American mother and her 6-year-old daughter stunned the world in the movie Not Without My Daughter. But that movie and the book that inspired it were told from the mother's perspective. Now, 2 decades later, her daughter tells her own story.
20 years ago, Sally Field starred in the movie Not Without My Daughter, a movie based on the true story of Betty Mahmoody and her daughter Mahtob. Betty was married to an abusive Muslim husband who prevented her and Mahtob from leaving Iran. Now Mahtob shares their ordeal in her book, My Name is Mahtob, and how she learned to forgive the father who shattered her life.
Please welcome to the 700 Club, Mahtob Mahmoody. It's so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much.
I was just telling Mahtob that watching that movie years ago was so anxiety-provoking. I felt physically ill by the time the movie was over. You lived through it.
I'm sorry to do that to you.
No, I mean, it just, probably because as a mother, I just could not imagine such trauma or tension. This all happened 20 years ago.
30 years
ago,
now.
But 20 years ago, the movie came out. Why now? Why the book now? What made you decide to do this?
I had the opportunity for many years, and I didn't want to write a book. You know, because I grew up with my mom traveling and with publishers. And no, I love traveling and meeting new people. But I didn't want to write my own book. And then this opportunity kept coming up, and it wouldn't go away. and so finally I'm thinking, maybe I hear you, God, I hear you. Yeah. But no, there was a special woman in my life who, it was her dream. She was the editor of Mom's book in Germany, and it was her dream for me to write a book, and she was dying.
Well, 2 different perspectives for certain. The perspective from a mother's standpoint, but then to be a 6-year-old child experiencing this was quite traumatic, I'm sure. You know, I think the thing that was so stunning about the story from the movie's perspective was how almost idyllic your life seemed before that here in the United States. Was it so?
It was. It really was. I was recently back in the northern Michigan community where we lived before we went to Iran, in Alpena, and people from the community came and they said exactly that. You know, you were such a happy family. Your dad adored you. And it touched me that they held on to those good memories, and then they came and shared them with me now 30 years later.
So what was it, do you think, that turned your dad from this family man who adored you and doted on you to the person who was so ideologically immersed in the Iranian culture and the political system at that time? How did that happen?
Well, I was born in 1979, just before the embassy hostage taking. There was a big shift in his country, and I think being so far removed, you know, he was here in America, this is happening in Iran, and I think he felt a responsibility to his family and to his country. There was this kind of tugging of his roots, so to say, and it was the combination of religion, of politics, of pressure from his family. But this was something he had planned. I think also in the back of his mind, when he became a father, he realized how important it was for him to raise me with his value system. And I can respect that. His value system is not my value system. So I think the way he went about it was very wrong and very extreme.
Mahtob, what was it like for you to go to Iran as a 6-year-old? Because the American culture is so free and open, and based on your mother's story and now your own, I mean, it was quite different.
Very different. At first, it was a big celebration. You know, it was a family reunion. But the cultures, which are really high honors in the Persian culture, were very foreign to me. You know, slitting a lamb's throat and stepping over the blood into the home.
Really.
But in the Persian culture, this is a huge honor. So there was a learning curve for sure, but definitely a lack of freedom.
At some point along the way, I mean, you and your mother thought you were going for a few-week vacation, and then it turned into your dad saying, no, we're here to stay. And to your mother, if you want to leave, you're free to, but you're not taking Mahtob with you. What was the lowest point for you in the process of all of this?
I think the most difficult for me, I mean, there were bombings, and I was forced to go to school, and I had to, you know, shout "Death to America" and stomp on the American flag before I could enter, the
classroom.
Exactly. But I think the most difficult part for me was the domestic violence aspect. You know,
Which you had not seen in the United States.
Never. And so to see my dad beat my mom, to hear him say how he's going to kill her, that was more difficult for me than any of the rest.
And yet, despite the seriousness of all of that and the regularity of it, your mom actually gave you a choice when she had made up her mind that she was going to find a way to get out. And you were the one who said, I'm going with you.
She's incredible.
Yeah, she really is.
I don't think I would have had the strength to do that.
Can I say, not just incredible from that standpoint, I marveled in your book at how your mother never defamed your father to you, and always wanted you to appreciate your Persian culture.
I'm so thankful for that.
I mean, that's quite unusual.
It is, and the sacrifice she had to make emotionally to do that for me was huge, but the impact in my life then and now, it's just immeasurable.
Well, you two were really a team when you came back, because for many years, though you did escape, I want people to read the book, I don't want to give away the whole process, but
Thank you.
Though you did escape, you lived in fear, and so did your mother. You actually lived with an assumed name for a window of time.
I did, and not just for my security, but for the security of the other students at school. The school asked me to use a different name, although I couldn't legally change my name. The night before my first day of school, my mom gave me a new name and taught me how to write it.
There was a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear over the years, and eventually, as a young woman, you had health issues and were diagnosed with lupus. Do you feel like that continual fear and anxiety had anything to do with that breakdown of your body?
Well, I do know that stress is a trigger for me. You know, that kind of stress, that unremitting stress, is definitely one of my triggers. And there's a school of thought out there, whether it's scientific or not, that disease is often representative, and how apt that I have a disease where my body literally, my flesh and blood attacks my body.
I was amazed by your mother as I read the book, but I was also amazed by you and the role that your personal faith played in your life throughout this. Tell us about that.
Well, thank you. God is so good. We escaped, we came home, I needed a school, and so Mom sent me to a parochial school so I could be safer. She thought it would be harder for my dad to find me, but that was God putting me in the hands of Mrs. Hudson, my first grade teacher. Just all of my teachers. I had amazing, loving teachers, and they taught me to be secure in God's love. You know, even if my dad kidnapped me,
God was with you.
God was always with me.
Your dad died in 2009. You were able to forgive him long before that, really.
Before, yes.
But how did his death impact you? Was there a sense of freedom that came with the lack of fear, or what did you feel?
It was this huge clash of emotions. My instant reaction was, this is finally over. But then at almost exactly the same moment, I thought, this is just, it's a tragedy for him. I felt so sad for him.
What is your life like today?
Oh, I have a wonderful life today. I don't know what a normal day is for me yet. I'm so far, this process has removed me so far from my normal day to day. But yesterday I was in Boston. I met fascinating people, got to see some of our nation's history.
You've had a long life of learning and exploring and enjoying other cultures and very supportive family and friends along the way. It's wonderful to meet you in person.
I have so much to be thankful for.
Seen the movie and read the book. I recommend both. There's so much more to Mahtob's fascinating story. You can read all about it. Her new book is called My Name is Mahtob. And this is available wherever books are sold. You might catch the movie as well to get a big picture from both a mother and a daughter standpoint. It's called Not Without My Daughter. Good to have you here, Mahtob.
Thank you so much.
Still to come, we're going to bring it on. Janet wants to know, if our nation were to lose a big percentage of our oil supply, how would it specifically affect us everyday folks? And what can we do to prepare in advance? Stay tuned. Pat's going to answer that right after this.
Would you like to win the Publishers Clearinghouse $5,000 a week forever prize? $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. Enter at PCH.com on February 26th to win forever.
Hi, I'm Mary Hunt, best-selling author, syndicated columnist, and the founder of Debt Proof Living. I've teamed up with other financial experts in the Christian Broadcasting Network to produce a series called Protect Your Finances. In the series, I share with you steps, tips, and a way to get started planning for your retirement. So what are you waiting for? Get your copy of Protect Your Finances today.
In this new series hosted by Gordon Robertson, you'll discover important strategies for secure financial health. Learn how to be a smart spender with Clark Howard. Become financially stable with Michelle Singletary. Find your dream career with Dan Miller. Build a secure retirement with Mary Hunt.
People can do extraordinary things on an ordinary income if they have the right information and a good attitude.
And uncover the principles of success with Pat Robertson. Call now to get your free copy of Protect Your Finances. Watch online at cbn.com.
Well, it's time to bring it on with the email questions that you all have sent in. And Pat, this first one comes from Janet, who says, if our nation were to lose a big percentage of our oil supply, how would it specifically affect us everyday folks? For example, what kind of jobs, finances, goods, housing, etc. would be affected? And what can we do to prepare in advance?
Well, there's not a great deal you could do except possibly to, well, if you had a generator, it might help. They run off of oil. You might get one of those wood stoves or, you know, to help along the way. But the truth is, there's not a whole lot we can do. We operate on an oil-based economy, and if it's not oil, it's natural gas. So I don't think right now, if things are looking the way they are, that there's going to be any great shortage. Even if we lost the Middle East, we have plenty here in the United States. And so I don't think the chances of us losing any, but it would run the price of everything. Plastics come out of petroleum. Chemicals of all kinds come out of petroleum. The electricity that we have is powered in part by coal, but in part by natural gas. That's, you know, petroleum-based. So our economy is really very much dependent on this, and if the price of oil goes really way up high, it could, well, it would just, it would mean that it would be, the world would be in a depression. It would have fewer jobs. The prices of everything would skyrocket. It would be tough, all right?
Okay, this is Alicia who says, Pat, how do I ask and trust God to answer my prayers for needs in my life when there are Christians in other parts of the world dying and being tortured for their faith? I find myself feeling guilty when praying for my needs because of these comparisons, and also finding it hard to trust Him to meet my family's needs when clearly the dying and tortured Christians' prayers aren't being answered.
I think it's very noble that you're concerned about other people, but the truth is that you know, I was reading today about Jesus, and it said, of whom do the kings of this world extract taxes? Their own sons or other people? And the answer was they get it from other people. The sons are free. I think God looks after His sons and daughters. and they have a special relationship to him. So you don't have to feel guilty because somebody else has got a difficult situation. But what you should feel is an urgency to help them. That's what God wants us to do, not to feel guilty that you've got a good deal and they don't, but that you have a good deal and you want to share it with somebody else that doesn't. That's what he'd like to see.
What about the part where she says she has trouble trusting God because when clearly the dying and tortured Christians' prayers aren't being answered?
You don't know all the situation. You know, it's just a shame what goes on in this world. There's evil in the world, and you don't know what you can do. But the biggest thing is you pray for them, and if enough people pray, God will hear and answer their prayers. Just like when the Israelites were down in Egypt, they were under bondage, and they were crying to God, and God came down and he said, listen, I have seen the suffering of my people. Now there you go, Moses, and deliver them. All right.
This is Mary who says, why didn't God like Cain's offerings? Why didn't God tell him how to improve them? Seems unfair to me.
Look, get one thing in your mind. The judge of all the earth doesn't do wrong. God knows what to do, and what he does is not fair or unfair.
In the hearts of men, yeah.
But in terms of Cain and Abel, one had to do with an offering of an animal. That was the sacrifice that spoke of Jesus. The other was the fruit of the sweat of a man's brow. He had tilled his field, he had harvested his crops, he'd brought forth his grain, and it was self-effort given to God as opposed to a grace offering of a lamb shed from the foundation of the earth. And that's why. Okay.
This is Tony who says the Bible refers to the Antichrist in our society has always assumed it's a man and a political leader of some type. Any chance it could be a woman?
Oh, women are too sweet to be the Antichrist.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm sorry. The Bible is explicit. It's a he. All right.
Okay, Emily says, my husband of 25 years passed away 2 years ago. My ex-husband says he still loves me, and I admit I have feelings for him still. What's your take on our being together? We're both in our 70s. I don't know if I'm being immoral. I've prayed about this. Maybe it's God's way of taking my loneliness away.
Well, I don't see any reason you couldn't get back together again with your former husband. The one that you're living with is dead. I don't know about immoral. You decide you're going to have marital relations with the former husband without being married. I think there's no reason that you need to consummate something. I mean, you need to solemnify something. How you do it is between you and the Lord, but you need to do something, not just say, well, I'm going to have a casual fling with my ex-husband, and then am I being immoral?
Right.
70 years old. God bless you. You're still in the game. All right. Well, we leave you with today's Power Minute from Proverbs 4:20. Give attention to my words, for they are life to those who find them, and health to all their flesh. Hey, tomorrow we've got Joel Rosenberg. He's written a novel. It's the first real full fiction book he's written. It's intriguing, and I've had the pleasure of reading it all the way through. It's a good read. So he'll be telling us about his new novel tomorrow. See you then.
Tomorrow, the president is missing and ISIS is at large. Joel Rosenberg takes us through the chilling pages of his new novel, The First Hostage. Plus, the outlaw who made his own rules.
We had our own standards, and we took care of one another.
And lived by a simple motto.
Live fast, die young, leave a good-looking corpse.
Watch what happens when this biker gets busted.
It was on
the next 700 Club.
Jin Shi had been in and out of the hospital with heart trouble since she was born. Jin Shi needed surgery.
But I saw an ad that said you could get a lot of money by selling a kidney. It was the only way I could get enough money in time to save Jin Shi's life.
Right before Wong could finalize the sale, a doctor told CBN about Jin Shi. We quickly helped set up and pay for surgery.
The people at CBN gave my daughter a second chance on life. Words can't express the gratefulness I have in my heart.
These are the things you make possible when you partner with CBN. To those of you who recently pledged to join the 700 Club, thank you. Your help will make a tremendous difference in so many lives. Be sure to watch for this mailing and remember to send in your pledge, because when we all come together to help, miracles happen.